So we're in the last chapter of Kiddushin, actually the last chapter of the order of Nashim, the order of dealing with women, or with relationships between men and women, more precisely. And we're getting into questions about lineage. So we explained at the end of the second Mishnah in Kiddushin, in the fourth chapter, that a shatuki is someone who knows who his mother is, but not his father. We depend on his mother to tell us, to testify to the genealogy of the father. And an asufi is someone who was found in the marketplace. He's gathered in he's abandoned, basically. So he doesn't know either his father or his mother. And Abba Shaul used to call the shatuki baduki, a checked one, because Abba Shaul will rely on the testimony of the mother. But we're then going to examine the question, well, okay, who can marry who? And the third Mishnah in the fourth chapter begins with this general statement, which we find quite difficult to understand, certainly doesn't match with our practice today. Anyone who's forbidden to enter into the assembly can intermarry with each other. So, for example, well, that might be, for example, a mamzer with a non-Jew. And straight away, Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. Rabbi Yehuda Oser. Rabbi Yehuda seems to forbid a mamzer from marrying a convert, i.e. a converted non-Jew. So he might not necessarily disagree with all of these prohibitions. Rabbi Elazar Omer. Rabbi Elazar says, Vada'an mutar. Those who are certain are permitted with those who are certain. That's a really cryptic comment. Let's just hold that in our minds for a second. We'll come back to it. Those who are certain with those who are certain are permitted. So if you certainly know who you are, then you can marry with other people who of the same type. Let's go back to the list of genealogies that we began the chapter with. We said that 10 types of people went up from Babylonia. So Kohanim, Leviim, Yisraelim, Chalalim, converts, freed slaves, Mamzerim, Natinim, Shatuki and Asufi. And we said that there were different categories who were permitted to one another. Priests, Leviim and Yisraelim, Leviim, Yisraelim, Chalalim, converts and freed slaves, all permitted to marry one another. And then now these are the groups. These are the groups of people who don't come into the community. Converts, really interestingly, included there. Converts, freed slaves. And we've seen Rabbi Yehuda doesn't really include converts in this group. At least he won't allow a convert to marry a mamzer. Converts, mamzerim, natinim, shutukim, and asufim. So these are all of the people who perhaps are known. For example, if you're a mamzer, you might be known to be a mamzer. But if you're a shatuki or an asufi, well, almost by definition, you're not known. And the Mishnah says they're all permitted to one another. That's the first Mishnah of the fourth chapter. So let's come back now to our Mishnah. Anyone who's forbidden to enter into the assembly, in other words, all of this last group can intermarry with each other. And Rabbi Yehuda forbids, because Rabbi Yehuda says, well, look, clearly, a mamzer can't marry a convert. And Rabbi Elazar says those who are certain are permitted with those who are certain. So if we know who we are, we can marry those of the same type. And he goes on to say, Vada'an bisfeikan, those who are certain with those who are doubtful. Usfeikan bevada'an, and those who are doubtful with those who are certain. Usfeikan bisfeikan, and those who are doubtful with those who are doubtful. Asur. If you don't really know your genealogy, seems like you can't marry anybody. Elu hen hasfeikot, who are the doubtful ones? Shatuki, Vasufi, Vekuti. Shatuki, Asu, who are the doubtful ones? Shatuki, Asufi, and Kuti. Well, Shatuki and Asufi, we've already met. And we can't understand that we don't know their genealogy. So very hard for them to marry because maybe they're marrying their sister. Maybe they're marrying their brother. We don't know because we don't know their genealogy. And the Kuti are the Samaritans. And fascinatingly, they are not included in this list of 10 of those who can't marry into the community, but the Mishnah brings them in now. And the Samaritans, well, are a fringe group. They seem to accept, at least as we understand them now, they're connected with Karaites. They accept the written Torah, but not necessarily the verbal Torah. They reject the rabbis. And we think that their genealogy is not reliable. Now, if you're a priest, of course, has further restrictions. So we have a verse in Parashat Emor, right at the beginning of Parashat Emor, about the priest. They shouldn't marry a promiscuous woman or a halala. Halala is difficult to translate, but Rashi says born from a marriage which is forbidden to the priesthood. So, for example, the daughter of a widow and a high priest, or the daughter of a divorced woman, an ordinary priest. That's a halala. And a halala, so she's the offspring of a forbidden relationship of a kohen, but she can't marry a kohen. She can't marry a kohen. And so the Mishnah now starts to focus down on the priests. And when it says how nosei isha kohenet, someone who marries the daughter of a priest, the Mishnah is talking about a priest marrying the daughter of a priest. And very often, in the time of the Mishnah, certainly, the priestly families would intermarry with each other. They'd keep kind of themselves to themselves. So, hanosei isha kohenet, someone who marries the daughter of a priest. We're talking about a priest here. And the Mishnah continues, Tzarich lidok achareha arba imahot. Must check her lineage up to 4 mothers. So he has to really check that she's not a halala. And shehen shmona, and there are 8, actually 8 once you figure out all the calculations. Ve'eluhen, ima, her mother. Ve'em ima, and her mother's mother. Ve'em avi ima, ve'ima, and the mother of the father of her mother, and the mother of her mother. Ve'em aviha ve'ima, and the mother of her father and her mother. Ve'em avi aviha ve'ima, and the mother of her aviha, her grandfather, and her avi ima aviha ve'ima, and the mother of her grandfather and her mother. So there should be 8 there. Levi'im ve'Yisrael mosifim alehem or achat. And if she's the daughter of a Levi or Israeli, interestingly, we're talking about Levi'im ve'Yisraelim, but we're talking about the daughters here. We're still talking about a priest getting married. I don't know whether today priests getting married go through these checks. I think this is a feature of the Mishnah, right? This is not a feature of today. Levi'im ve'Yisraelim, that means the daughter of a Levi or Israeli. Mosifim alehem ot achat. You check one step further back.